I'm going to tell you something I never said out loud, not even to myself. The room was dark except for the faint blue pulse of the smart thermostat blinking on the wall. She was asleep beside me, breathing softly, her back turned like always lately. I watched the slow rise and fall of her shoulders, memorizing the rhythm, as if it could still mean something. But I already knew everything. My phone rested in my palm under the blanket, screen dimmed to its lowest setting. I scrolled through messages she thought were deleted, through videos she thought no one would ever see. Every lie, every late night, I miss you, every plan. She shifted in her sleep. For a second, I wondered if she could feel it, the weight of my silence, the way the air itself had changed around her. I leaned closer, close enough to smell her shampoo, and whispered in my head, "You should have been more careful." Then I smiled. Because tonight, I had already left her a gift. If you enjoy mind-bending revenge, subscribe to us. What's your home country and current time? It's fascinating to track our story's journey across the world. It didn't start with proof. It started with a feeling. The kind that crawls under your skin and refuses to leave. She laughed a little too hard at her phone. Held it at angles I couldn't see. Took it with her everywhere, even the shower. When I asked, she called me paranoid. Not just once. In front of our friends. She smiled, squeezed my hand and said, "He thinks I'm cheating on him. Can you believe that?" They laughed. I laughed too. But I remember the way her eyes flickered toward me, just for a second. Measuring. Calculating. She had no idea. The first camera was easy. A small, harmless thing tucked behind the bookshelf in the living room. It synced quietly with the rest of our smart home system, one more invisible thread in a network she never questioned. Then came the microphone in her car. Then the software on her phone. She thought she was careful. Clearing chats. Deleting history. Using apps that promise secrecy. But nothing truly disappears. Not if you know where to look. The first time I saw them together, I didn't react. Just watched. She laughed the same way she used to laugh with me. That was the moment something inside me went still. The game was just beginning. I didn't confront her. That would have been too easy. Instead, I started making small changes. The lights would flicker when she walked into a room. Not always, just enough to feel like coincidence. Her phone would glitch. Messages she swore she deleted would briefly reappear, then vanish again. Once, I played back a recording of her own voice through the house speakers. Just a fragment, barely audible. She froze in the kitchen, eyes wide. "Did you hear that?" she asked me. I looked up from my laptop, calm. "Hear what?" She had no idea. It escalated slowly. I changed the thermostat settings at night so she'd wake up cold, uneasy. Adjusted the locks so they'd click twice instead of once. Tiny things. Insignificant. Except they weren't. Because she was already guilty. And guilt makes people see ghosts. She started checking over her shoulder. Started asking if I had touched her phone. Started waking up in the middle of the night, staring into the dark. "Something feels off," she whispered one night, clutching the blanket. I turned toward her, brushing her hair back gently. "You're just stressed," I said. She searched my face, desperate for reassurance. I gave her just enough. The game was just beginning. Then I sent the first message. Not from me. From him. Or at least it looked that way. A simple text appeared on her screen while she sat beside me on the couch. "Does he know?" She went pale. Her fingers trembled as she opened the chat. There was nothing there. No history. No contact. Just that one line. She turned to me slowly. "Did you send this?" I frowned. Why would I do that? Her breathing quickened. I could almost hear her thoughts unraveling. She had no idea. By the time we visited Boston, she was already breaking. She insisted on keeping the TV on at night. Said the silence was too loud. In Phoenix, she accused a stranger of watching her. In San Francisco, she finally snapped. "You're doing something to me," she said, her voice shaking. "I know you are." I met her gaze, steady, unreadable. Doing what? This feeling. Like I'm being watched. I leaned closer, lowering my voice just enough. "Maybe you are." She recoiled. And for the first time I saw real fear. The final step required precision, planning, patience. I invited our friends over, the same ones who laughed when she called me paranoid. She was quiet that night. Nervous. Fragile. Dinner was almost normal. Almost. Until I stood up and said, "I got something for everyone." I dimmed the lights. Turned on the screen. At first it was just static. Then footage. Grainy, distant, but unmistakable. With him. Laughing. Whispering. Touching. The room went silent. She stopped breathing. "No," she whispered. "No, no, no." I didn't look at her. I watched the others instead, their expressions shifting from confusion to understanding to something colder. She turned to me, tears already falling. You did this?" I finally met her eyes. Empty. "You called me paranoid." Her world collapsed in that moment, and I just stood there. After that, everything unraveled quickly. Friends stopped calling. Her messages went unanswered. He disappeared. Of course he did. They always do. She stayed in the house for days, barely speaking, jumping at every sound, flinching at every shadow. Sometimes she'd look at me like I was a stranger. Sometimes like I was something worse. One night she asked me in a broken whisper, "When did you know?" I thought about it. Then I said, "Before you did." She had no idea. Now the house is quiet again. Too quiet. She doesn't laugh anymore. Doesn't sleep properly. Sometimes she wakes up and just stares at the walls. Waiting. For something. I still control everything. The lights. The locks. The silence. And sometimes, late at night, I let the speakers whisper just enough for her to hear. Not words. Just presence. A reminder. Because this isn't about anger anymore. It's about permanence. She wanted to make me feel insane. So I showed her what that really looks like. And I never raised my voice once. The end.